Hello everyone, and thank you for attending this Balanced Scorecard Institute webinar. Today we're going to take a step back and talk through the basics. This is for those that are relatively new to the concept or are just starting to consider implementing a balanced scorecard in your organization. We'll start with a basic what is a balanced scorecard question and then discuss some of the reasons that it is one of the most popular management tools in the world. I'm David Wilsey, Chief Operating Officer at the Balanced Scorecard Institute. I've now been teaching or consulting on balanced scorecard or performance measurement or strategic planning related topics for over 10 years. I'm working out of the BSI headquarters in Cary, North Carolina in the US. Thank you all for attending. I about fell out of my chair when I saw that there were over 1,000 people registered for this webinar today. So clearly there is a lot of interest out there in balanced scorecard. As most of you know, this webinar is part of our regular promotions that we do for our Balanced Scorecard Professional Certification Program. We've been offering this program in association with the George Washington University College of Professional Studies for almost 10 years now. Anyone that attends this webinar will be entitled to a discount for a Balanced Scorecard Professional Boot Camp in the U.S. before the end of April. Just use the discount code BSC Basics without the quotes on your registration form or contact us directly. Many of you might be here because you've heard the phrase balanced scorecard, but you never knew what it was or how it worked exactly. If you're a manager or an executive, you've probably heard the phrase because it is one of the most commonly used management tools in the world. Bain & Company have been tracking the usage of management tools for years, and balanced scorecard has been in the top 10 for all of this decade. When you realize that balanced scorecard is actually a holistic system that includes or connects elements, such as strategic planning or mission and vision statements or change management or specific approaches to strategy or performance improvements such as customer segmentation or benchmarking, you realize that this is actually quite a comprehensive and popular solution. You might have also noticed that the same study also found that both balanced scorecard and strategic planning in general had not only relatively high usage rates, but also relatively high satisfaction rates compared to other management tools. So not only are a lot of organizations using the balanced scorecard, for the most part, they claim to be getting value from its usage. So without further ado, let's talk about what a balanced scorecard is and why it is so popular. Balanced Scorecard was originally developed by Dr. Robert Kaplan of Harvard University and Dr. David Norton as a framework for measuring organizational performance using a more balanced set of performance measures, meaning, among other things, both financial and non-financial considerations. The system has evolved over the years, and it's now considered a fully integrated strategic planning and performance management system. It can be used to help an organization communicate what you're trying to accomplish, align the day-to-day work that everyone is doing with vision and strategy. It can be used to prioritize what you want to focus on in terms of projects or products or services, and to measure or monitor progress towards your strategic targets. As a strategic management system, the Balanced Scorecard connects the dots between high-level strategy and all of those other components of the system. High-level strategic elements, such as mission, vision, and strategy, provide the high-level context for everything your organization does. High-level strategy is then broken down into specific objectives, which are continuous improvement activities that we have to do to implement. To be successful. Those objectives are laid out in the form of a strategy map, which visualizes how the organization creates value. Measures are used to track organizational performance, and targets are the desired level of performance that we are aiming for. Finally, strategic initiatives are the projects that are designed and implemented to help you reach your targets. A balanced scorecard helps organizations create alignment, which means connecting the dots between these various elements throughout the organization. Alignment is more than just connecting the dots, though. It's making sure that the actions your organization take are driven by and supportive of your strategy. In other words, vision and mission should drive what strategy you decide to implement. High-level strategy should drive what objectives you're trying to achieve. And the actions that your organization take should be helping you achieve those strategic objectives. Now, this seems like common sense, but unfortunately, many organizations do not have anything in place to manage this interaction. So there's a disconnect, or in some cases, even a contradiction between what people are working on and what the organization is trying to achieve. It almost seems like some strategic planning efforts are designed around justifying a preordained list of actions or initiatives rather than the other way around. One of the signature concepts of the original Balanced Scorecard is the idea that you should monitor performance from more than one more than one perspective. So rather than gauging your success only from a financial standpoint, the way many private sector organizations have in the past, we'll also look at our success from a customer perspective to know whether or not we're delivering value in their eyes. We'll also look at the organizational success in terms of an internal process perspective to gauge whether or not we're delivering products and services better and as efficiently as possible. And then finally, we will want to look at the organizational success in terms of organizational capacity or learning and growth to know that we're supporting our internal processes through improved knowledge or skills, abilities, tools, technology, leadership, infrastructure, culture, all those kinds of things. The specific names of these perspectives might change, but the concepts remain consistent. For instance, for example, if I worked at a government or mission-driven organization, I might refer to the financial perspective as stewardship, or I might refer to the customer perspective as the stakeholder perspective. But again, the basic concepts remain consistent. Here's an example of an organizational level balanced scorecard. This one is for a generic city government or organization, but the pieces look roughly the same as any other. At the top, you can see the high-level mission, vision, and strategy for the city. This is where they communicate their picture of the future, their purpose, and the 3 or 4 high-level focus areas of their strategy. Then on the left side of the screen, you can see that how their objectives are laid out over the 4 perspectives. This visual representation of is their strategy map, which tells a story of how the city government creates value. In the middle of the screen, you can see their measures and targets. Well-designed measures can help the organization in many ways. They can provide an objective way to see if your strategy is working. You can focus employees' attention on what matters most to success. They can provide a common language for communication, and ultimately they can help reduce the intangible uncertainty that is often associated with implementing a new strategy. Finally, out to the right, you can see the strategic initiatives that the organization is implementing in order to improve performance and hit targets. This list is created through a prioritization process that is guided by strategy and is designed to make sure that you are leveraging the ideas that will make the biggest improvement. Here's an example from a private business. And now, without going into all the details, you can see how you can tell a story and connect the dots. This energy company wants to improve its thought leadership position because they believe it'll help them improve their products and then improve their awareness as leaders in the industry and ultimately increase revenue. This is part of their higher level energy leadership strategy and is even tied to their mission statement. Now they have teams working on thought leadership strategy and research expertise, and they have a balanced set of measures in place to make sure that they're following through on strategy. Even in this simple teaching example, you can see how the dots connect throughout the system and tell a story of how the strategy is supposed to work. Okay, now let's stop for a second and do a quick poll. I'd like for everyone to think about the organization that you work and ask yourself, in a general sense, how does your organization systematically manage and execute strategy? Since this is the recorded version of the live event, we edited out the interactive sections. This poll was posed and participants responded. Here's the way people responded. Viewers of the replay might want to pause and pause the replay at this point and give some thought as to which of these 4 categories your organization fits. Many organizations use the Balanced Scorecard simply to get the benefits of using a disciplined framework. The BSI was recently featured on 21st Century Television with Donald Trump Jr. on Bloomberg TV. And Howard Rome, Gail Perry, and a number of our clients discussed these benefits. BioBridge Global had their certified Balanced Scorecard professional staff use the system as a framework and a methodology to structure the way they manage strategy. From planning the strategy all the way through execution and measurement, through follow-through and through evaluation. Now, there's a benefit simply from having everyone use the language the same way. Because if my objective is your goal and someone else's strategic priority, we have a communication problem. Another benefit that many organizations are going for when they use a Balanced Scorecard is the improved communication of strategy. One big part of that is the use of a strategy map. Excuse me. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that it is definitely true of strategy. Most people are visual learners, and so if you share that, you share with them a graphic depiction of strategy instead of a paragraph description of that strategy, they'll get it. So a strategy map visualizes how your strategy works by showing the cause and effect relationship between the strategic objectives and your strategy. Starting at the bottom of this simple teaching example, this organization thinks that if they improve tools and technology and knowledge and skills, it will enable them to increase process efficiency, which in turn will help them lower cycle time and costs. Lower cycle time will enable them to lower wait time, which they believe is key to customer retention and revenue, and so on. You can see how an employee would now have the larger context needed to understand why they are taking a process improvement or Lean Six Sigma training class. So let's do another poll. How well would you say that your organization communicates strategy? All right, again, so here we edited the interaction part out. Here are the results from the live webinar showing how the participants rated their own organization's ability to communicate strategy. In another example from our interview on Bloomberg TV, we learned that Fluor Corporation's power division used the system to communicate their strategy throughout the organization and to help understand how the projects that employees are working on support strategy. They even organized town hall meetings around their strategy using their Balanced Scorecard and communicated how the organization was performing against performance targets. Another key benefit associated with Balanced Scorecard is organizational alignment. Alignment occurs when strategy is cascaded to different tiers of the organization. In other words, you start with the organizational strategy, which includes all of the high-level strategy and the various elements I've talked about thus far, and then you translate that down into the organization, first at the department or unit level, and then to the team and individual level. We refer to the organizational level scorecard as Tier 1, the department or business or support unit level as Tier 2, and the job description level scorecard as Tier 3. All right, so now let's see how you all are doing in regards to creating alignment from top to bottom in your organization. So here is how the participants ranked their organization in terms of creating alignment top to bottom. One organization that has been very successful in terms of cascading has been the National Marrow Donor Program, otherwise known as the Be the Match program. Beyond cascading, they also use the Balanced Scorecard to introduce some discipline to the prioritization of initiatives based on expected strategic impact, and then as a tool for evaluating whether they were actually making a difference. They also fully automated their scorecard using software to track, trend, and share strategy and performance information with all of their employees. There are tons of examples out there, but here are just a couple more. The Federal Ministry of Health in Ethiopia, with the help of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, used the Balanced Scorecard to improve their performance on several key metrics, such as inpatient mortality and hospital waiting time. The U.S. Army Medical Department Center and School used the Balanced Scorecard to improve alignment and focus. Their improvements in training attrition saved the Army and ultimately the U.S. taxpayer $26 million. Veolia Water used their Balanced Scorecard to align their North American units and improve performance as well. So while we don't have time to go into more detail here today, please contact us if you'd like to discuss how the tool might be modified to fit your situation. So obviously you can't just wave a wand and have a successful Balanced Scorecard. There is some work involved in getting this going. We've observed over the years that there are a few critical success factors to long-term success in terms of system implementation. The first and most important, I think, is that leadership has to be engaged in this process. It doesn't take long for employees to figure out if the boss isn't on board with this, and if he or she isn't, their employees won't be either. You also have to make sure that you make a concerted effort to manage change for this work. That means engaging lots of people in key steps in the process, making a concentrated effort to communicate well, and following other change management good practices. Next, it is important for the culture of the organization to realize that you are now shifting to fact-based decision-making. This is as opposed to those decisions based on gut instinct that too many of us have relied upon. This really is a culture shift for many organizations that have never learned to use performance information properly. The next critical success factor is a strong project management discipline within the organization, both in terms of implementing the scorecard itself and, almost more importantly, implementing the initiatives that will move the organization forward. Project management skills are invaluable in properly executing strategy. This process does require a long-term commitment. It is certainly not something that you can think of as a short-term project that you'll move on from. You have to think of this as a new way of managing your organization. And finally, the last critical success factor for long-term success and sustainability is that you have to incentivize, engage, and motivate your employees. You really can't just dictate to your employees what you have to do, what to do in a command and control fashion. You have to include them in the conversation and let them take ownership. Now, obviously, it's self-serving to note that another important success factor is to have competent and trained employees building your system. As I've said earlier, we're here today to promote the simplest way for you to get started on your Balanced Scorecard journey, which is through our Balanced Scorecard Professionals certification program. The program content walks participants through our 9 steps to success methodology for building and implementing a Balanced Scorecard and is a very interactive, hands-on experience. We offer this program through our association with the George Washington University College of Professional Studies in Washington, D.C. 6 to 7 times per year, and then we take the course on the road to Chicago, Atlanta, San Francisco, Dallas, Toronto, and many other North American cities. For more information, visit balancedscorecard.org/BSP. That program, as well as the rest of our services, are also available internationally through our partner network in places like Australia, the UK, the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. So please visit our website for the exact schedule and locations. BSI also offers consulting services for anyone who wants more hands-on assistance. This is where one of us gets to come to your location and get to know your team for a while as we help you build out your system. We've helped quite a diverse range of organizations over the years, so we like to tailor each client's unique, tailor the services to each client's unique needs. Whether you want to build a scorecard from scratch, assess or improve an existing system, just develop KPIs or something else similar or related. Oh, and before we stop, I just wanted to add that if you happen to be in the Middle East or would you like to or would like to visit that region, we would love to welcome you all to the Strategy Execution and Performance Conference featuring the Balanced Scorecard. We're partnering with Informa Middle East to host the conference May 8th through the 12th in Dubai. Balanced Scorecard Institute co-founder and CEO Howard Rome and Balanced Scorecard Institute's Vice President of International Joe DiCarlo will be presenting workshops in addition to hosting the conference. We're about out of time, but we did have some time for some questions. Before I lose everybody, I did want to let's see. I'm looking through the questions that I answered. I answered on the webinar. We had a question about small organizations, if they can be used, and the truth is that no, a small organization can, this is not limited to just large organizations. A small organization can in fact build this. We've worked with offices as small as 7 employees. So anyone who needs help articulating what you're trying to accomplish and then measuring your progress towards those goals and can benefit from using a system like this. We also had some questions about the locations of our classes that are coming up. All of that is available on our website, but we will soon be in Atlanta and Toronto and Dallas and Washington, D.C. over the next couple of months. And that's the end of our program. Thank you again for attending, and please contact us if you're interested. Visit the balancedscorecard.org website for more information or contact us. Thank you again, and good luck on your strategic planning and management journey.